Hello, I'm going to do a post-commentary analysis on my game against Warm Connell 007, which I think most of you probably know from YouTube. Might be a bit laggy, because I don't think my Wi-Fi was that good then, but I think it should still be watchable. It was also mainly just laggy when I tried using the snipping tool, so the team preview part here is going to be a bit slow, but after that it should mostly be fine. Alright. So in the team preview, I see his wrestling actually has a pretty solid matchup versus me. I don't really have much that deals with the wrestling since I don't have something like Bar Blast or Cosmior or even he has a Nimore or a Revenine. Those are like kind of the main wrestling answers, and I don't have any of those, but I do have some like checked since I have my Bunary, which I'll probably need to deal with the wrestling. My Cephalops can possibly take 2 hits from it, so it also can act as a check there. And I think overall I should have an okay matchup here because my Cephalops threatens his team a lot. He doesn't really have a great swap into Soul Drain, and most of his team, besides, I can wall most of his team pretty easily besides the wrestling, and maybe the Zeppelin can cause some problems, but not so well. Here, I see the Elephage. I'm thinking if he Thunder Strikes me or clicks anything else, then I get my Rageful plushie activated, and I do huge damage, but Warm Connell knows this, so he goes for the Magnify, and now he can threaten to actually KO me with a Thunder Strike. So I'm going to swap out here. I'm thinking I don't really want to bring my Malmerk into Thunderstrike because then he can just spam Thunderstrike as I constantly photo. I'm thinking about going hard Bunary on a Thunderstrike, but I decide that the Infernix pivot I think is best on a Thunderstrike because it's just a relatively safe play. He could probably flash and flee, but that's fine. I think you'd always go for Thunderstrike here with the Elephage, so I think the Infernix play is a pretty safe play. So then here he goes for a Thunderstrike like I thought he would. And then now whatever light move he has, he'll probably go for here. So I'll just go to Malmerk. He could also maybe Reju, but yeah, I go Wawa on the Flash and Flee. It's a really good start to the game. I think here I'm trying to figure out what his most likely swapping is. He doesn't even really have a great swap in Malmerk. I just click Aqua Jaws, just in case maybe he stays in and clicks Rejuve or something. And yeah, I saw the Gobademic would likely come in. I get some chip on the Gobademic, which is good. Go into my Stratosaur, so that way I could always just try and gust away the hazards. He sets up Barbs. And now here I'm thinking, if he has Hypno on the Gobademic, then that's like not so great for me. Because then I can't gust away the hazards, then he gets a free swap and the hazards stay up. So I'm considering whether I want to gust here, but I think I end up going out into the Infernix, which doesn't work out here, but I'd rather have my Infernix be asleep than my Stratosaur. So I felt like I'd rather go into the Infernix than like try and go back out into the Stratosaur and gust away the hazards. But it looks like Worm isn't even hypnotized on the Gobademic, so that was kind of an unfortunate play. Yeah, I'm just typing out some of my thoughts, but I wasn't really able to do a live commentary there. I could go out into Stratosaur here. Yeah, now I go out into Stratosaur just to get rid of the Barbs. That's like my first priority. Now that I'm pretty sure his Gobademic isn't hypnotized. So I should always be able to remove Barbs for the rest of the game. He should, because here he probably goes for an Earthquake, maybe feeling a bit scared of my, feeling a bit scared of my Infernix, but he goes out into Nimore. Because maybe, I guess, if I were a robust Infernix, I could have lived the Earthquake from Tyrex, maybe two-shotted it with Fire Breath, but I feel like you should have just Earthquaked or maybe even Power Focused if you wanted to there. So I managed to get rid of my hazards now. So now I'm feeling pretty good about this matchup. Still just a bit worried about the wrestling in the back, but so far it hasn't really had a great opportunity to come in. Yeah, I'm thinking about the wrestling. I think I should still just always go to Malwamerk here. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty likely that's wrestling last. I mean, it could be Zeppelin. I'd be happier if it were Zeppelin because I can have like Malmerk try to sword my boot area to revenge kill it. I make the Infernix pivot. Actually, I guess Infernix pivot's a fine play as well because he's likely just going to rejuvenate here, and my Fire Breath's doing just about as much as he's rejuvenating since this isn't really range defense invested. Yeah. He'll probably like wait up here or rest. So I had to spam Fire Breath and keep him low. Yeah, he clicks wait. I just want to keep the Elephant a bit lower, just so I could put some pressure on his team. Yeah, and you see it does just about as much as he recovers with Rejuvenate. Probably a bit less, like 45%. And now he can't really Rejuvenate again. But I'm just going to click Fire Breath just to make sure. And he's very low on energy and pretty low on health now. I disagree a bit with his Flash and Flee. I think it was just kind of a waste of energy. Like the chip doesn't really matter. He brings out the Nemore, which makes sense on my Fire Breath. I have a lot of options versus Nemore. I could go Malmerk. Yeah, just go Malmerk. Malmerk basically hard walls Nemore. Yeah, and I'm okay. And here I'm even saying if he has Resto, he should double into it here. So I'm like pretty confident that like a good player I think would almost always double wrestling here. I feel like that my Infernix doesn't really want to stay in here, and my likely swap it is Malmer. So I felt like he would double wrestling, but I didn't really feel like calling him out. Yeah, so that was a good play by Warm. So it's like I mean sometimes you know what your opponent's gonna do, but it's just a question of this like because I didn't know maybe he still had Zeppelin last and I wasn't really sure about like what type of plays Warm would make yet. So I feel like it makes sense sometimes just to play a bit cautious. So let's see. So here we're doing some calcs with wrestling. I think I'm gonna see how much it does to Malmerk. Yeah, I just most run Pep Jab now, so or I'm looking at Cephalops here. How much I take here. Yeah. But usually it does do enough. So now I'm looking at Malmerk. I just click Sap Plant here. I unfortunately missed. Hitting there would help me out a bit. He clicks Driving Force, so my Malmerk takes a fair amount of chip. But it's not like the end of the world. Here I should... What do I do here? My Infernix lives, I think, yeah. Yeah, so my Infernix would just barely live a hit, so I think I'm just going to go for the chip, because Wrestler's really the biggest threat to my team. So I see like chip it as much as possible, and Infernix can always like regen its health. He just keeps clicking Driving Force. So he's really getting a lot of chip on my entire team. Luckily, I get my Booneri out here, so that's pretty good for me. Now he's likely going into Nemore, but I don't really care too much. I'll just take, because Pep Jab's still doing around 50% to the Nemore. And if he brings Nemore out, then I could heal up my Malmer. I even consider a hard double into Malmer, but I think that Pep Jab's just the right play. Yeah, so I click Pep Jab here. It did lag a bit on this recording. That does a good chunk. I consider clicking Pep Jab again on a possible perch, but that's kind of like a crazy play. I always just want to heal up my Malwork here. Because Malwork walls like half of his team, so yeah, he clicks Airblade, does a good chunk. Maybe if he like crit twice, could have done stuff. Yeah. But now I get my photosynthesis off Malwork. He'll bring up probably Gobademic, just threaten me out. But now that I'm pretty confident it's non-hypnotized Gobademic, I can just bring in my Stratosaur and always Gust. So the nice thing is I did get some chip off on like the biggest threat to my team, which is Wrestling. So, but I'm still not too happy with my position here. He got off a fair amount of damage with the Wrestling. Bring out Strat, and he sets up Poison Barbs, and this also further confirms that he's not hypnotized. It's probably like Poison Barbs, Muck Blast, Barbs, Provoke probably. But I feel like you should always run Hypnotize on Gobademic, and this is like the main reason here. So I get my Gust off. He goes Elephedge to try to get its HP back. And then I think I'm considering how much Metal Blast does, but I assume it wouldn't do enough. So I'll just bring out my Infernix maybe. I feel like Infernix is probably a good play here. Infernix, get my health back, and then yeah, just heal it basically my entire team. He doubles out here, wondering to what? Into Tyrex, okay. But Tyrex doesn't really threaten my team much, so I'm surprised by this play. Maybe he thought Metal Blast would do too much to the Elephedge, but I don't think so. So I had some free Power Napper here. And this is where I gotta bring in my Cephalops, I think. Or maybe I could bring Malamurk. So here's I can either bring Malamurk in here to rest, but he has really no great Cephalops answers. So I think it's good to bring my Cephalops in here and then start smacking things. So he just clicks Earthquake, but now I can just Soul Drain basically all of that back because he has no Soul Drain resist really. Everything kind of just gets bopped. So I think Connell here tries to maybe just scapegoat energy stall out my Cephalops, but he just has no great switch it. So I'm basically guaranteed to claim a kill here. He can't really do much. My Cephalop's got to go back to full from Soul Trade recovery. And so I'm a bit happier with my position now. I expect him to keep scapegoating up, but I think here he swaps out hard into the Nemore, which I think is a bit of a throw. But I mean, I guess Nemore didn't really do too much versus my team anyway, but now I'm at least up a Loomian, so that already makes trading with the Bunary a bit easier too. So now I can just kind of kill trade with Bunary against his Wrestling, and then I should be winning. Brings out Gobademic. I can take him up class, get my Rageful plushie, basically kill this Gobademic, but I'd rather just go out into my Stratosaur. Or I think here consider it first for more power nap. I think I always just go out into my Stratosaur, get more power nap recovery. That's pretty risky Wrestling play, I feel like. His Soul Trade was a viable move to click there. But it works out okay for him, but the thing is, I don't really need my health on Stratosaur. I only basically need the Stratosaur to Gust on Gobademic, and Stratosaur hardwalls Gobademic anyway, so I don't really need my HP for anything. I was seeing how much Stratosaur takes, make sure like I easily live, yeah. As long as I don't take like 90% or something. I'm pretty happy just going for a Tase here, try and limit the threat that Wrestling poses to my team. Yeah, so he does a fair chunk there, but I managed to get the Tase off on the Wrestling, so that's pretty good. And since I always have the Amulet strat, I also gain passive recovery on the Gobademic. I don't really have like a great swap in here, so I think I'm just gonna go out to my Cephalops. It's not like Maybe I should have gone Infernix here, just sacked it. I don't think Infernix does much versus his team. So I probably should have just done that, but I have Cephalops here, and let's see. Cephalops on Driving Force, yeah. I should have gone Infernix here, in hindsight. I think Infernix sack was better. I dragged the boot area back in, which is basically optimal again. Yeah, Infernix sack was always better there. And then now I basically claim a kill with Pep Jab. Oh, also, this was the wrong Boonary. It's supposed to have like much more HP and energy, but this is my dull, non-trained Boonary, so yeah, it doesn't really matter in this game. But I realized that after this Wrestling Driving Force did that much damage, because it should only be doing around half, so that was a bit much. Here, my Ferdix, thanks to the fact that I tased the Wrestling, is now faster, so I can just gust and kill off the Wrestling. So basically, now that the Wrestling's dead, now I just win the game. Malmwork plus Stratosaur walls his entire team. So I don't think there's anything Worm can do from here. His Malmwork sits on Tyrex, and it also sits on the Elephage, and Stratosaur sits on the Gobidemic forever. Honestly, I could have just rested here with the Infernix. Gobidemic can't even threaten me out, so it was probably better not to go Stratosaur. But I guess he just saw he kind of conditioned me always going to Stratosaur on the Gobidemic, so that's good by him. But now I get my Malwork in, get a rest off, and then I'm pretty happy. And so he can't really do anything from here. So I think that's basically just the game. I'll get my rest off. Goes out to Gobidemic. And then my Stratosaur forever walls Gobidemic. My Malwork forever walls Elephage and Tyrex. So it's basically what happens. Slowly chip him down. Yeah, I mean, I said, yeah, because he almost broke, but like it was a pretty tough matchup for him. It's subsets, but I think his Wrestling probably could have done more. I got maybe a bit lucky too with the Gobidemic, or with the Wrestling Driving Forcing, always bringing my boot area in, but yeah. So I'm pretty happy with how I played that game. I maybe should have just sacked by Infernix that one time on the Cephalops, but I mean, sacked by Infernix on the Wrestling that one time instead of going Cephalops, but I got 5-0. So GG to Worm. And I'll show, I probably analyze the rest of my videos in the future. So